Welcome to Single Tree Nation Show. I'm your host, Charlie Eblen, founder, owner of Single Tree Woodfire Barbecue. Our show is on a mission of growing community through the online storytelling and digital hospitality. We thank you for tuning in and enjoy the show. All right. Welcome back to Single Tree Nation. I have an amazing special guest on today, Mr. Troy Hooper, the man, the myth, the legend with many talents.
I don't know why I get to be labeled special guest, but I'm special, I guess.
You're special to me. How's that?
Somebody's always special to somebody, Charlie.
We always have to have somebody special close to us, right? So, look, man, hey, I appreciate you joining me today. It's a privilege and an honor to have someone with your wisdom in our industry on the show to chit chat about all things and nothings, whatever comes to mind, right? So, on our show, man, look, you're used to the drill. Every Wednesday and Friday on Clubhouse at noon, we get on and we give our elevator pitches there. And if you're listening to this, join us on Clubhouse every Wednesday and Friday at noon Central and 1 Eastern and 10 Pacific. And I don't know the Bulgaria time.
I'd
have to figure out the other one. But we like to give everybody, 60 seconds to tell the world who they are and what they do. So hit it.
All right. Just a guy that likes to spend time in restaurants, at the end of the day. We're a collection of companies at the Kiwi companies, and Kiwi Restaurant Partners is a company that helps founders, operators, folks who want to be in the restaurant business, folks who've been in the restaurant business for a long time, scale and grow their business. We are a consulting practice that essentially is an outsourced C-suite, or a kind of a C-suite SWAT team, we like to say. We come in and help you optimize your concept and your branding and your marketing and your team and your operations and get you ready for growth, and then walk you through as a project manager, as a partner, and as an advisor, walk you through the process of going from wherever you are to wherever you want to go. That can be an idea to a new concept. Could be you have 10 or more stores and you really haven't figured out what the prototype and what the replicable system is, and we'll help you do that. So that's our day-to-day, most of our project business. We work with about 10 to 12 brands a year, and usually spend anywhere from a year to 2 years with them, depending on what the scale and scope of what they're trying to accomplish is.
It's awesome. So that's what you're doing now. How did you get into this wonderful industry we call the hospitality industry?
How far back should we go? I was a busboy 30 years and 4 months ago at Bennigan's, which, by the way, Bennigan's is coming back. All right.
I love it.
For those who've never heard of a Bennigan's, it gave Friday a run for its money and was kind of the predecessor to an Applebee's, really, at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But started as a busboy and worked my way to Expo and worked my way to kitchen manager and went to culinary school and just climbed that ladder slowly and surely, and really honed myself in the hotel side of the business for a long time, and creating and redeveloping concepts and being a part of the launch teams and hiring a lot of people and training a lot of people. So really came up through the ranks over the years, and found my way to operating some very successful businesses. And we specialized for a long time in turning around hotel, resorts, private clubs, golf club assets for owners and new owners to be. And then within that, there's a ton of restaurant that goes on. And then, about 6 years ago, we decided to really create a division that specialized in scaling emerging concepts and working with founders and young and new operators and experienced operators that just wanted to grow faster than they could on their own. And so I put a team together of some of the most phenomenal leaders in the industry. I'm the youngest and the quote unquote least experienced by numbers of my team, but really convinced a group of folks to come together and put together this system and this process, and really so we could scale and help as many restaurateurs as we can.
Yeah, I met you, I guess, I don't know, coming up on a year ago now. It was last March, maybe. somewhere in that neighborhood. And I've always enjoyed your perspective, right? Because you have a very wide range of knowledge in the industry, so it's always been really good to get your perspective on things. And you've helped me in my business a lot as well, just from being able to bounce some random dumb ideas at the time off
I
and
love
see
the
how.
Charlie calls. They're always impromptu, unexpected, and a highlight of my day for sure. I love
It's
when Charlie just calls out of the blue. Hey, man.
what do you think about this? Yeah, that's how
Yeah.
it works. Yeah,
And then I ask you 50 questions.
of course, the best ideas are stemmed from that. So, so look, man, that's why I wanted you really to have you on the show. Just today is a conversation. There's tons of things going on in our industry right now. You have tons of things going on with your company. You're getting ready to dive into a massive venture with a new company and really kick it off. Can you dive into that at all of
Yeah.
where you're going and what you're doing and who it is and what the world can expect from KRP?
Yeah, look, just like as we talk about helping other people scale their business, I've had a lot of help in scaling this business, and it is from relationships like this with you that, quite frankly, introductions are made. We're in a people business, right? And at the end of the day, if you do good things for people and you provide value, the boomerang effect is real. It's going to come back on you tenfold, and we've been very fortunate to have laddered up to some pretty significant clients over the last year. And as of February 1st, we began the onboarding process of our new and largest client in the history of any of my companies. It's called Pepper Lunch brand. It's the second largest franchise restaurant brand in Japan. They have 440 locations around the world. They have one franchisee with 5 stores here in U.S. and one franchisee with 2 stores in Canada and one franchisee with 1 store in Guam. That makes up the North American organization. And as of February 1st, they've asked KRP and myself to come on and lead that company. I'm officially CEO of that brand in North America and the parent company, actually, for the brand in North America. And KRP is the franchise developer and manager. So our team is going to, as KRP, is going to stand up the franchise infrastructure and design and develop all of the assets and processes for franchising the brand here in North America. And once that's done, they're going to begin the process of selling franchises, onboarding new franchisees, and then maintaining that infrastructure and that service component that the brand needs to offer. And then myself, I've been tasked to basically stand up the brand and administrate the brand and manage the KRP engagement, any other vendors, which we have a lot of vendors we're engaging right now. I'll be going to a lot of conferences, basically almost every single restaurant or franchise related conference in North America I will be at. And we're booking some speaking engagements now for me to talk about some of the things that matter to multi-unit franchises, matter to the really this trend. We have a big trend a lot of people probably aren't aware of international brand import and export. We're exporting most of the franchise growth in American brands is actually offshore, where they're growing in other countries, and we're importing a lot of brands from around the world, particularly Asian brands. A lot of people are going to be familiar with Jollibee and Nando's hot chicken, and there's Yoshinoya here in California has grown to 120 locations in the state. So we're seeing a lot of import from Brazil and all over Asia, particularly Philippines, Japan, China, things like that.
It's good stuff, man. It's good stuff. Super proud of what you're doing. I can't wait to see it really get going. And, just don't forget the little people over here.
No,
Okay?
no, thank you.
Don't
Yeah,
forget the
no,
little guys.
it's a lot of work. We're scaling up. We are
Yeah, man.
hiring at KRP and we are
Right.
hiring at Pepper Lunch brand for sure.
That is outstanding. That is awesome to hear. Like I said, man, I'm super proud of you. I can't wait to have a pepper lunch in and around my area to
You
go.
too can be a franchise owner of Pepper Lunch. Charlie.
Heck
Let's
yeah.
open the
Heck yeah.
national market.
Let's make it happen, right? Yeah. Let me get Single Tree steady first before we start branching out a little bit more. Yeah, it's pretty cool, man. And and I go back to that's really why I wanted to have you on, because of all of the stuff that you've seen in your career and the knowledge that you have, and really talk about a lot of the stuff that's going on in uh, in the industry as a whole. We talk on a regular basis, me and Sean Walchef, and had Jensen Cummings on the show, and really getting into some of these industry-wide topics, right?
Yeah.
And we were kind of going back yesterday or the day before, whenever it was. They're all kind of blurred right now. I just wrapped up opening week, so I don't even know what time it is right now, let alone what day. So, but like I've been hearing a lot about Chat GPT. The the whole Waffle House thing is going on, and In-N-Out Burgers moving, and you just can't keep up with all the change that is happening throughout our industry, right? And some of the things that I'm really kind of seeing is, and that we talk about a lot, is the technology,
Yeah.
and how fast we're emerging, and how fast we are adding technology to our business. One of the questions that kind of came to mind to me, and I wanted to get your opinion on, was how much of this technology, which we are all, me, you, Sean, all the people that we talk to on a regular basis are quick to, yes, let's add. What else can we add? Right? The answer
We
is
like
always
toys.
the answer is always yes, right? But when do we stop?
Yeah.
Because eventually, if we keep adding technology, there's not going to be servers. There's not going to be cooks. There's not going to be managers. It's going to be somebody sitting behind a computer typing in, managing the technology of it, right? Not the restaurant. So
Yeah.
do you think there's a hard stop of, hey, these are things we will never get rid of? Can you lose hospitality with adding every tech there is?
Yeah, that's a loaded question. There's a lot going
I
on in
know.
there. The answer is SaaS fatigue is real for the restaurateur. Lots of new technologies and lots of existing technologies have really been expanded dramatically over the last 2 to 3 years. It's nearly a full-time job. I find myself spending at least 3 or 4 hours a week demoing or getting instruction or updates on from all of these providers. And I talk to consultants who put these things together for brands and groups, and make it their job to sort of inform brands what's what and what they need and how it works, et cetera. And then we're spending a lot of time introducing and implementing technology to our clients, across the board. It has now become one of the biggest pieces of what we have to do everywhere we go now, is really think about, what is this brand going to look like? What's it going to need? How's it going to get there? And what tools and resources are going to help it do that from a technology perspective? You can absolutely overwhelm yourself. You can absolutely pay for stuff you're not going to use. The reality is most people need 4 or 5 pieces of software technology in their business to be very, very efficient. And most independent or small chains don't even have that. So we have a long way to go for the adoption in the under 5 or under 10 store organization, certainly in the independents. I can't imagine I try to imagine, but being an independent with 1 to 3 locations, you got your hands full. You're trying to run the show. You're not really big enough to have all these executives and support managers and things like that. Certainly not going to have a technology person necessarily assigned within your company. So you have to do all this yourself. And I do it for a living, and it's a lot. So I completely empathize with that. The answer to that problem is go get help. There's tons of great information now on content on the internet through things like this. But there's really specific information available. And it's become one of the biggest pieces of any conference. Go to any restaurant related conference. A significant chunk of the entire conference is now technology players. It used to be all equipment and food. Now they're competing to get in with the software guys. So It's big. To the latter part of your question, I think there's room for everybody. I think there's room for every model or every system you were kind of alluding to or referring to. There is room for fully automated, totally robotic businesses and restaurants. Um, the real question intertwined into your comment is, how do we deliver hospitality, right? And I learned the term digital hospitality from Sean Walshoff as well. The reality is, you have to go out of your way. You have to think about it. I would say in any technology you're thinking about, whether it's a robotic busser, right? A robot busser food runner, which Denny's is doing, or, a fryer assistant automation with, Flippy, or anything else in the software space. The first question is how does it serve your employee? How does it serve your customer? Or how does it serve the business in an overwhelmingly positive way, right? Is it solving problems, making life easier, making things more efficient, reducing friction for employees and guests, or the operator themselves in running the business? So that is a first checkpoint and hurdle, a gate I think anybody needs to go through. You need to articulate that very clearly. And then I would do the pros and cons. On the con side, what is this going to take to implement, manage, operate,
Yep. Yep.
utilize, et cetera? So there's a lot in that, and I think the process is different for everybody. But I think the most important thing is, how does this service our employee? How does this service our customer? How does it improve our business? And in all of that, do we lose hospitality? Do we lose the opportunity? Are we taking a touch point away that we could have delivered hospitality? Now, look, I spend most of my time in quick service and fast casual and casual restaurants. The reality is, across the board, hospitality has essentially evaporated. There's just very few instances realistically that I experience impressive hospitality, outloan baseline hospitality on a daily basis. And I eat out between 1 and 3 meals a day, every day of the week.
What do you
Intentionally.
think the reason, and this can go down a rabbit hole, but I have my opinion, but what's your opinion on, when we were dishwashers and busboys, right? You didn't walk past a guest without speaking. You didn't
I
stop.
talked to every table like I was a server and I was just the busboy.
Right. I remember being 14 years old, helping out in a golf course, refilling drinks and busting tables and having the time of my life because I got to meet, some amazing people. And today I see general managers and owners and leaders not only not being hospitable, but almost being rude.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I sent you,
for sure.
yeah, I mean, I'm not going to name names, but I sent you a Google review a couple of days ago
Yep.
that was quite comical. I mean,
Yeah.
from my point of
Yeah.
view, it was comical. Now,
There's the
I
right
don't,
person for the job for every job. And
right.
that
And
person, that owner should not be the one responding.
no,
to
by no
reviews.
means. But where did we go wrong? Is it our faults? Because I know my bosses and my leaders would have lost their mind if I'd have done anything like that, or not refilled a drink fast enough, or pre-bust a table, or whatever it may be, held the door for somebody. I mean, I worked for a restaurant where we had to have umbrellas at the front door if it was raining.
That's
So
awesome.
you could take people out to their cars,
Yep.
right? Or you could go
Yep.
get people out of their cars. And today it's like, whatever. They'll come see me if they want to. Where'd we go wrong?
Yeah, I think a couple of things. Today, I think it's attention to process, attention to numbers, attention to checking boxes on paper over common sense service, right? Um, Almost no restaurant business I know of. I mean, you can name 5 maybe on your hand that make any significantly obvious investments in training their people. The reality is nobody is spending enough time, money, creativity, or passion around teaching and training people, and or even just expressing the brand's purpose and the brand's value and the reason why we're here and what we're trying to do and what we mean to people. All of that has given way to numbers and discipline and just sort of nonsensical stuff that is important stuff, but is not the lead purpose of your business, right? Systems and processes, checklists, sitting your employee down for discipline or blah, blah, blah. These are all things we have to do, but somehow the coin flipped from we're here to take care of people. We're here to give people an experience. We're here to ensure that what we do consistently and we do as well as we can do it, has flopped to sort of secondary. I will blame I think the rise of many, many new chains as part of that, right? So just think back 20 years ago, you know, Moe's Southwest Grill came on pretty slow, pretty fast for its time, but slow by
Yeah.
today's standards.
Yeah.
Today we have brands that are building 100, 150 stores a year as a new and emerging brand, under 5 years old, building 100 and plus stores a year. Chipotle didn't exist 20 years ago. Qdoba was one of the first large chain growth. Most people don't realize that. There's I think a lot of this, let's just call it generic service, that has been diluted over time. They all started off great. I mean, Chipotle, the experience was amazing for the first 5 years. Blaze Pizza, phenomenal down the line consultative experience. Would you like this? Would you? Oh, you want some more? Oh, you want me to spread it out a little more? Whatever, right? Very personalized, and that has really just diluted over time. And I think it's just attention to the wrong things, and we need to get back to really paying attention to how do we deliver hospitality, particularly as we talk about a lot through digital medium, through technology. And by the way, it actually allows you to touch many, many, many more of your customers, to be much more connected to your employees as a whole. If you use technology correctly and do it well, you can actually reach more people more often and more authentically, more personally.
Yeah. Yeah. You get to know people a little bit better. Yeah. I find it, it's as somebody, I consider myself like a true restaurateur, right?
Mhm.
Like just, it's in my blood. My dad, hated it. You need to go to college. You need to get your degree. You need to do this. You need to get something to fall back on, this, that, and the other. And in 2020, when I lost my job, that was his moment to go, see, I told you you needed to have a backup plan. You needed a BS degree. And then now we've started this, and it's a little bit different, but it drives me crazy I think, to go back to technology just a little bit. I think you hit the nail on the head. I think it's yes. The answer is always yes for more technology in its proper placement, right? And I almost believe that if you go back 20 years ish, probably when fast casual first got on the scene, right, and first started developing, that was a whole new world, and everybody was like, "Oh, wait a minute, what is this?" Wait, no, you need to have somebody at the front door seating people. You need to have.
Yeah, it's true.
You need to be.
How do we get rid of the
that.
hostess? What?
Right? Yeah. What do you mean get rid of the host? No, they go down a line and they order at a cash register. No, that doesn't work. And it blew up, right? And I think technology is kind of the same thing. You have to use what you can to make sense of it, and help your hospitality, not replace it. And the digital side is just as important as any other part of it. And I don't think we can stand on a mountain tall enough and scream loud enough on how important social is to business these days. And not just sales, right? Not just B2C, not B2B, but just in general, how important it is to market who you are and what you do and promote your brand through social media. It's amazing to me, some of the people that I've partnered with, and now that we're really going to start pushing on the social side to drive more. And we opened our restaurant this week, and I've talked to more people this week that say they can't open their phone, they can't get on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok or LinkedIn or whatever and not see my ugly face. And
Good
and
job.
and I said, well, thank you. I appreciate that. I don't want to be an annoyance. I just don't want you to forget about me.
Mhm.
And I want you to know everything about us and who we are and what we do and why we do it, right? If you were to have a restaurant opening in 2 months, 3 months,
I do.
I know. What would you say is the most important thing from a marketing standpoint for you to do between now and day one of opening?
Build a community. I think one of the things that is still lacking in all of the digital expressions of our brands and our businesses is the reality that you can actually connect with the humans through that device. You can build community. You have to interact. You have to invite them. You have to engage them. You have to empower them. You have to ask them questions. You have to ask them for their input and involvement. Make them a part of the building and journey. Make them feel like they are on this ride with you and that they can have pride in supporting you and sponsoring you and all that kind of stuff. So I think that building community is the most powerful thing you can do. I mean, do not ignore the 80% of the people, but remember that 20% of your customers represent 80% of your money. So you want to really understand that there's an opportunity to grasp a hold of that 20% of those raving fans, those highly invested individuals, those true believers in your brand and your product and what you're trying to do. Whether it's a personal reason that they're connected to your brand or the food or the sense of community, or they just really appreciate that you're really doing something at the highest possible level, that they want to reward that because it is different. You have to engage with them as much and as often as possible. And so that means posting is one thing, right? Um, Reacting to the likes and numbers and all of that, so you know what people want to see more of, but actually getting in the comments and asking for questions and responding to comments and asking for more information if they tease you with a thought or a comment or a piece of feedback. But really, it's at the end of the day, you cannot build a really meaningful, lasting business without engaging the community and building a relationship.
Yeah, I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. So every show we pause and we have some random questions that just come to mind. Okay. So the first random question I have for you, Troy, is when you walk into a room or you leave a room, what theme music should be played?
um, this is going to put me in a very specific time and geography. Um, in the Air Tonight by Phil Collins. So
That's
the
outstanding.
Miami Vice, the de facto Miami Vice
Right.
theme song. So either the actual Miami Vice soundtrack theme song, or Phil Collins' epic operatic drum solo from which was also a pivotal point in the Miami Vice. For those that don't know, I am from Miami originally, grew up in what is now Little Havana, and Miami Vice was the thing. And I
Mm.
dressed like Crockett in my linen suit in sixth grade. For God's sakes, I was going to school in a white and tan linen and pink linen suits, like with slicked back hair and the whole deal. So
That is
anything Miami
outstanding.
Vice is an appropriate theme song for me.
That is outstanding. I love it. I love it. All
And
right.
I'll bet you didn't know that.
I didn't. I knew the Miami thing. I didn't know the other part.
Yeah.
The linen suit. We need pictures.
They
That needs to
they were all
be
destroyed in a
homework for you.
hurricane, thankfully.
That needs to be homework for you. A little linen suit picture.
Yeah.
Um, wow. Yeah, I could picture that. That's good. That's good. All right. So you have your restaurant open. You've done all your social. You're kicking butt, right? You have a bad day. right? What's the best way to handle negative feedback, whether it be online or in person?
Be absolutely grateful. Be so grateful that they took their time and they were willing to share it with you. The fact they shared it with you actually means they care. They actually want to fix it by telling you. Now, how people tell you, the words they choose to use, the tact or lack of that they use, you have to basically peel that off. And at the core, somebody cares enough about their experience, about other people's experience at your business in the future, and enough about your business to let you know so you can do something about it. And so I am grateful. If they are willing to stop and tell me, that's 100 times more than the other 100 people that didn't. Because the reality is, and we used to have all these old numbers, right? One person likes you and says good things about you, they'll tell one person, but if they don't like you or have a big experience, they're going to tell 10. Well, with the internet, that number has a lot more commas behind it, right? And quite literally, thousands of people could be impacted by that information. And so being grateful, being humble, being empathetic, and then addressing it head on, not like the text you sent me the other day, although I thought it was hilarious. Be authentic in your own voice, but remember that what if that was you? I went somewhere, a four top at a casual sit down restaurant today. If everybody has one cocktail, we share an appetizer or two, and we all have an entree, we're at 150, 175 bucks, easy peasy, right? My wife and I
Hmm.
went to lunch with a 2-year-old and it's 125 bucks because we have two drinks, but that's brunch on Sunday.
Yeah.
But that means something. And if I go and I have a certain experience on a regular basis and then suddenly it's off or it starts to be off on multiple occasions, good, thank goodness that I gave you more than one shot, because most people don't give you more than one shot. So being grateful, engaging in it authentically and humbly and with a tremendous amount of empathy for what they're trying to do, and not having ego and not being so audacious that you dismiss it, because it wasn't it was important enough for them to share it, and so it
Yeah.
mattered. And
Yeah.
the only person that matters is the person bringing the money to the table. Is the customer right all the time? Absolutely not. That's bullshit old adage we used to use. But they are the only one actually spending the money. And if they don't spend the
Yeah.
money, the employees don't have the job and the business doesn't have the business. So
Yeah.
at the end of the day, there's nothing more important.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it was Sam Walton said the customer is the only one that can fire you, right?
Yeah.
You know. So, and there's some hard truth to that, right? So, that brings me kind of my next thing. A few years back, and there was a black box study done on the average number of times a guest joined or patronized a casual dining restaurant.
Mhm.
And that study was like once per year. It
Hmm.
was like once every 11 months or something like that. It's been a couple of years, so it may have changed. At this point in time, it might be less with, after 2020. But with that, that kind of brings me into the question of how do you take your average guest, customer, whatever you want to call them, that comes to see you once every 11 months or once every year or once every 6 months. How do you get those individuals to come back to you one more time in
Mhm.
that X amount of time period? Because if you do that, you double your sales, you continuously grow, right? So how do you make that? How does that, what do you do every day? What do you do in the shift? What do you do every year, digitally or in person? How do you change that number and make it grow?
You make sure they know that you care about what you do and why you do it. You make sure you communicate it to the people who are going to care most about what you do and why you do it. So you need to know who you're doing it for. And you need to make it about the people, right? I can get barbecue anywhere. I can get very good barbecue a lot of places. What I can't get is Charlie Eblen, his barbecue and his hospitality in this place at this time. So you have to differentiate yourself in the most authentic and impactful way you can. And I think building community, I think when we talk about social and digital, you hear me say this a lot. Put human beings in the picture. Put humans in your video. Let your team talk. Let your customers tell your story for you. User-generated content. You have to make this about people and community. So I love your mantra, building community through the perfect plate of barbecue. What does that mean? It really means sit down on Sunday and have a meal with me and let's talk about the week. I mean, and that can be any day of the week, any time of the day, but that's what I hear when I hear your mantra, right? Is that we can sit and have a meal and build community and connect, and have an authentic relationship. And so you have to insert yourself as the brand, as the operator, as the provider. I think if you have a mindset that every person that sits down in your restaurant is making a memory, I always say this to my teams, you never know if this was the last meal that the family had with grandma together. And it may be the thing that the grandkids remember when after this meal at your restaurant, unfortunately, and whether for whatever reasons, grandma passes on. And that's going to be seared in their memory as the last place and time they spent with her. Right. And, when people are celebrating events with you, birthdays happen once a year, anniversaries happen once a year. A lot can happen in a year. A lot does happen in a year. People move away, they move on, kids move out and go to school. This may be the last gathering for a long time. And it may be the last gathering in the iteration of this family unit the way it is. You want to be a part of facilitating a great memory every time. So assume every single table sitting down and every person you have an opportunity to build a great memory with. And so I think if you just come to it with that, every single time you step up to a table or every time somebody steps up to your counter, every time you hand over a plate or a bag of food, every interaction has to have that depth and meaning to it.
So that kind of, you got me all in my feels over here.
All right.
I'm all like,
Tingly
now
dingly.
Now I'm really thinking about restaurants and just daily operation. It just gets me all excited. So, I was thinking about it the other day, and one of my team members, they looked at me and they said, "Charlie, why do you always make time to go talk to every person?" And I said, "Well, just for that reason of hospitality. They're coming to Singletree, and I want them to feel at home. I want them to feel comfortable. I want them to be able to tell me their good, bad, and uglies every day they come and see me. I want them to come in here and know that it's not just barbecue. It's not just great brisket. It's not just ribs. This is comfort zone. Come get your Sunday meal with your family and enjoy life. Let's talk about whatever you want to talk about, whether it's banana pudding or Oreo pudding.
I always want to talk about banana pudding.
Or the dark side of the moon.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know a guy that helped me name that. But what would you see in today's world? I know at least on my side of the country, it's they refer to table touches as just that. It's a touch, right?
Yeah.
Everything okay today? All right, good.
Yeah.
Everything okay today? It's
Yeah.
like, what are you doing? Stop.
It'd actually
for a
be better if you didn't interrupt me and didn't do that, right?
There is no conversation. There is none of that, right? So, and I don't know how it is out there, but where did we go wrong? Where did we lose that sense of building community in person? We can do it digitally, and there's a lot of, it's funny. Sean says everybody is always great in person. And I would say I agree with that most of the time.
Yeah.
But
I have a lot of not great experiences at restaurants every day in person.
Right. So, where did does that go back to the leadership that we were talking about earlier that we've just lost?
Yeah. I'm really glad you asked it that way, because while you started talking about this, I thought to myself, Well, that's great, Charlie. But I know Charlie has 2 locations and he has 3 kiosks in the college. So Charlie has 5 locations in my mind. How the heck does Charlie do that at all 5 locations if all 5 are on fire today, if they're all up and running, right?
Right.
The answer is the solve for and the why it happened are the same. And that is that at some point you can't replicate Charlie, right?
Right.
Nobody's ever
Right.
going to give a damn enough as much as Charlie will. But I disagree. I think Chick-fil-A's food is as about middle of the road mediocre as it gets. And a lot of people are going to hate me for that. So enjoy the comments that you're going to get. I don't have to read them. But guess what? You just said it. It's comfort. So
Yeah.
consistency. I don't care what Chick-fil-A you go to anywhere in the world. You're very likely getting the exact same food, served the exact same way, right?
Yep.
It's consistent. The people are consistent. Chick-fil-A hospitality, Walk-On Sports Bistro out of Louisiana, growing cross country, hospitality, personality, culture baked in, right? So these iconic brands that we look at and say, wow, they just do it so well. They do it differently. They do it better. And by the way, here they come, Charlie. The biggest test in this company's 80-year history, In-N-Out coming to Nashville. Is In-N-Out going to be able to replicate what they have in the West, particularly in California, all the way over in the Central East or the Southeast of Nashville? They are like Chick-fil-A, which is like Walk-On Sports, which is like maybe a handful of other brands you can think of, where I don't necessarily go there for the food. I don't go there for the hospitality and the warm welcome. I don't go there for the clean environment. I go there because it's all there, right? The whole
Right.
package is there.
Right.
And the only way to scale that is your people. So like you said about your customers, right? And how you value them and how you respect their willingness to invest their time and money and choose to spend that valuable resource of their time and memory making with you. You have to do that for your employees, because the way to make all of your customers and all of your outlets feel like Charlie came by the table is that Charlie treats his team the same way he would his customers, that he sees the employees actually as a greater investor in his business. And I'm just using as an example. This is true for everybody.
Yeah.
But if you don't, when your employee walks in the door, if you aren't grateful to see their face, something's wrong. You have the wrong perspective, because your employee is
Amen.
investing everything they have. They're relying on you to pay their bills through their efforts. And so if you can impart the Charlieism, the Charliness into them and get them to deliver whatever percentage of Charlie, 60%, 70%, 80% of the Charlie factor to them, then you will have replicated, you will have scaled that. You will show consistency across locations and within your location when you can't be there. And the reality is, I met Mr. Cathy, the founder of Chick-fil-A, on a street outside of a stadium during a parade. The man shook my hand and handed me a coupon for a free Chick-fil-A sandwich, and he did it to thousands of people that day. I happened to choose to stand at the Chick-fil-A Bowl parade one day 25 years ago, happened to stand at the finish line of it because the stadium was right there, and I was going to get there before everybody else. And the man was standing at the finish line of the parade to thank every single person who participated in the parade and cheer on the teams at the football game that day. And anybody in his sight or reach along the sidelines of that parade, he said hello to and gave a coupon to and thanked them for their business. If Chick-fil-A can do that, anybody can do that. So it's really about not losing that connectivity, not losing that purpose, and being absolutely insanely focused on replicating and indoctrinating that purpose into your staff. And that is the passion that will result in retention. The retention will result in consistency. That consistency will be predictable for your customer, and you will build a long-lasting legacy of community building if you follow that formula. And I didn't create it. I'm just the cheerleader and the profiteer of that information. but you can look at a handful or a dozen or whatever number of brands you want to call out that you would say they just do it right all the time. Look, nobody's perfect. We're all going to fall on our face. It's going to happen, but it's going to happen a lot less when it's systematized, basically.
Yeah, for sure. That's killer, man. That's good stuff. Good stuff. All right. Well, I got one more random question for you, Troy. This is probably my favorite, but save the best for last. So, if there was one person, past or present, in the hospitality industry, that you could sit down and break bread with, drink a beer, whatever it may be, who would it be, and what would you want to learn from them?
Boy, that's a hard one, Charlie. You got to send these out in advance, man.
No, I'd send it out in advance. Then I can't put you on the spot.
Yeah, yeah. And hospitality specific really narrows it down too, which is good.
Yeah.
I'm going to be a little overly obvious here, to be frank. There's a lot of amazing people today that I have not met that I would love to meet and sit down and talk to directly. So this doesn't please to all of my friends and mentors in the industry and people I look up to, don't detract from this. But I think there was something really, really uniquely special about Anthony Bourdain, and the world lost a really great mind and somebody who I think changed. I think he changed our industry in many, many ways. The people that he touched, it really changed the perspective of why we do what we do, and really opened the world. I think America to the cultures of the world and how food could be. It is absolutely the universal language of the planet. So that answer is going to be Anthony Bourdain today. Yeah.
What would you what would you like to learn from Anthony?
I want to know where that came from. Like, and I've read his book. How did he know, or why did he think he could, impact people by telling that story? Like, it's sort of all obvious now with hindsight, right? I think with many years of his show and his personality and the way he told the stories and the fact that he really made it about the people. It was about the place and then the people and then the food. And really it was about the people. I would want to dig deeper into where that curiosity came from. I'd also want to know if he actually knew how much he really impacted the mindset of people, not only in our industry, but just people in the world to be more curious and be more willing to try things. Andrew Zimmer is out there and he's still around, but and I've talked to him on Clubhouse, but he scared the hell out of me about eating bugs and slimy things, and things that are still alive. But yeah, I think I'd really just want to listen. I'd really just want to, honestly, I was always, every time I watched his show, I always kind of imagined myself sitting at that table with him and whoever that person was that he was just in the night market with, or going down the fish market with, or buying, cooking the food with. I always imagined how I could just be one of the guys standing there as a part of that conversation. And so, to that point, he made me feel like I was a part of that event, about a part of that meal, a part of that experience. And that's really special. Not very many people do that. And
yeah. It's good stuff, man. Well, Troy, I appreciate you joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Charlie.
Absolute pleasure. If there's people out there that need, a C-suite SWAT team, how do they get a hold of Mr. Troy Hooper and Kiwi Restaurant Partners?
Yeah, and you don't need to have that. Look, I'm as Sean says, and a few of our friends in the industry have said, we're weirdly available. So I am weirdly easily available. I try to just answer any call or email or text. This is about being part of our community and our industry and building a community of like-minded and well-intended folks in our industry. So it's super easy. Troy at krpusa.com. The website's krpusa.com. We're always excited to hear about what you're building and what you're into and what you're trying to solve for. And we always love to just pour in and give what we can to give back and make your life easier and get you on the path to really getting where you want to go.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you very much again, Troy. I appreciate it. For all you guys out there, please like, share, and subscribe. Make sure you join us next week. We come out every Wednesday with a brand new episode. And if you're free at noon Central Time, join us on Clubhouse. We would love to have you to talk more about digital hospitality and how we can help. And as Troy says, we are all weirdly available. And we look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks, Troy.
Thanks, Charlie. Appreciate it.
Yeah, man.